Krishna decides to take the kids downstairs for music lessons and storytelling. Kids can all accompany Krishna Prasad. Thanks y'all for coming. If you're coming for the first time, where's my board? If he makes noise, he has to go out. This is the founding father of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder of Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We're going to answer a question that's quite often asked. When people come into the temple, they see the dark-skinned figure playing his flute. They may know something, they may have heard something, read something, seen something, that Krishna is God, we worship him as God, and so on and so forth. There's a bit of a sideshow going on over here. Ask them to quiet down a little bit down. Ask them to quiet down a little bit down there too. So the next question is, who is the girl beside Krishna? Krishna's left on our right. And why is she always by his side? Hardly ever do you see Krishna worshipped separately. There are a few exceptions, but for the most case, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of not Krishna temples in India, but Radha Krishna temples. This temple itself is called the Sri Radha Krishna Temple. Wherever you see Krishna, you always see Radharani. And understanding Radharani helps us to understand the very nature of Krishna, or God himself. The answer to the question, who's the girl with Krishna, is not just a detail, a minor trivia point of thought, philosophy or history. Understanding Radharani is the very key to understanding the personal aspect of the divine. Radha means worship, and Rani means queen. Radharani means the queen, the topmost of all those who serve and worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she emblemizes the most profound truth in our Vaishnava Gaudiya Bhakti tradition. And we're going to try and understand more today who she is, what she represents, and why her presence is so crucial for anyone on the bhakti path. She's not just Krishna's companion. She is the personification of devotion. She holds the key to the heart of the all-attractive, flute-playing, youthful, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Imagine, if you will, the sun. Now, as you get a picture of the sun in your mind, is not the sunshine also there? Is it even possible to think of the sun without the sunshine? Or flip the script, can we think of the sunshine without thinking of the sun? So we're known as the Hari Krishnas. We're not known as the Krishnas, nor were we known as the Haris. Of course, some people may joke. But we're known as the Hari Krishnas because you can't separate the energy from the energetic source. The sun globe is the energy, sunshine. The sun globe is the source, the sunshine is the energy. People say God is love. Is there some? Can we turn that off? There's also a cave playing, I think, somewhere here. So Krishna is the all-powerful energetic source, and Radharani is Krishna's Hladini Shakti, his topmost energy, his topmost potency. God is defined as having multi-potencies. The sun doesn't just have one beam, or two beams, or 1,000, or 10,000, or 100,000. There are more beings coming from the sun at any given moment than you can possibly comprehend. So when we say God is omnipotent, that means there are more potencies emanating from God: beauty, wealth, fame, strength, knowledge, renunciation, than we could ever calculate or understand. But the most important potency, the topmost potency, is Radharani. She is the potency of love. And God's Krishna, his two-horned original incarnation personality, Godhead, Krishna is above and beyond everything else. He's a lover. So Radharani is the potency of Krishna's love. She's not separate from Krishna. Just like the sunshine and the sun are one. They're two, but they're also one. The energy is not different from the energetic source. So Krishna is the original source of everything. From Krishna comes sun, moon, stars, universes, Shiva, Brahma, Ganeshas, and all like that. And also from Krishna, the first expansion, the very first expansion. Because if you examine all of our psychology, every living entity, not just humans, but among the 8,400,000 species of life, there's one psychological driving force that we have all in common. And it stands above and beyond all the others. And it's called the pleasure potency. Is it not a fact that each and every one of us, not just humans, but ants and mosquitoes and spiders, all of us are seeking pleasure. And from where that comes from the source, comes from Krishna. So the first potency, the first thing that's on God's mind, as it is on all of his created beings, is pleasure. So the first manifestation of Krishna's inner consciousness of his very heart itself is Srimate Radharani. She is the purest and the topmost expression of God's own love and devotion. Now we talk about love a lot in this material world. It's, if anything, the most overused single syllable word in the English language. But there are many words for love in Sanskrit. However, what we know of or call as love in this material world is not really such. Admendari Priti Bhanti Kali Kamara says that iron and gold, they're both metals. They have that in common, but they're not of equal value. Love is selfless. Lust, the opposite of love, is self-centered. So when we see love reflected in this material world, whether it be the love of a parrot for its mate, or the love of Brahma for Saraswati or Gayatri as wives, from the lowest ant to the highest demigod, what we call as love is not really such, because it's not selfless, it's selfish. It's to please the lover. The divorce rate in America is almost like 50%. People talk about falling in love, like it was an easy thing to do, like you might, if you're not watching where you're going, you maybe had a little bit too much to drink one day, you fall into a ditch. People think of it as that easy, something that happens without any premeditation, accidentally, almost incidentally. But the problem with falling into love is that you can fall out of love just as quickly and easily, and you will fall out of love as quick as you fell into love. So that's not really love. You love the person because they stimulate your senses. However, when they stop pleasing you, then you say, oh, I don't love you anymore. And you jump like a monkey from tree to tree, from one partner to another. You see? That's not love, that's lust. So we don't really see pure, selfless love in this material world. Love itself takes a lot of work. Love itself is a function of character. You have to work at it every single day. Because you don't always love. You don't always spontaneously love. You don't always feel spontaneous attraction 24 hours a day to your mate. And yet at the same time, you need to appreciate them. You need to show them that you value them. You need to tell them you love them even when the sentiment is not there. So love is more than just an infatuation or a passing glance. Love is something that you build as a function of your character over an entire lifetime. We don't really see much selfless or real love in this material world. If we do, the best example, the closest example of pure selfless love, what do you think? Right, a mother for the child. They had a fire in Yellowstone in the 90s, burned 70,000 acres, and the fire marshals, the rangers were sifting through the ashes later on, and they came upon this bird on the ground who was petrified. The flames had overcome her so quickly that she was literally frozen in place. And they wondered, why is a bird, well, how did a bird allow herself to be captured by flames on the ground? Even if the flames are traveling 40, 50 miles an hour, they pose a danger to the rabbits, to the squirrels, to the snakes, because they go along the ground, and the fire can go faster than them, then they get caught. But how would a bird allow itself to get caught? Not only can a bird fly above the fire, but it can fly faster than the fire can go. So what's the answer to this mystery? As they were standing there musing in this way, from out underneath the wings of that petrified bird came the heads of several of her little chicklets. So what she'd done, she could have saved herself, but she stayed there and she covered her babies with her wings and saved them from the fire and saved them from the heat. That's the closest that we're going to get in this material world to the love that Krishna and Radharani reciprocate between one and the other eternally. One statement by Radharani to indicate the complete selflessness of her love. Follow this. If something makes Krishna happy and me unhappy, that becomes my greatest happiness. Did you follow that? On the other hand, if something makes me happy but makes Krishna unhappy, that becomes my greatest unhappiness. Elsewhere in his form as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he echoed the sentiments of Radharani in one of the verses from the Shiksha Saksham. Krishna, even if you restrain me, envelop in your embrace, or pain me by hiding your face, you remain my Lord unconditionally, no matter what the difficulty, decline or gain, rain or shine. I am yours and you are mine. Unconditional. No matter what Krishna does, he's always going to be my Lord. There's a famous story that one time Krishna asked Narada Muni to go and collect dust from the feet of his devotees. Narada Muni said, why? Krishna said, I had a headache, and the only medicine, the only thing that's going to cure my headache is putting the dust from the feet of my devotees on my head. So Narada Muni went to many, many devotees. He said, Krishna has a headache, and he's asking for the dust from your feet to put on the head of Krishna. And they said, the dust from my feet on the head of Krishna, Supreme, all-powerful personality of Godhead, creator of millions and millions of universe, the wielder of the thunderbolt? That wouldn't be a very healthy practice, I shouldn't think. And even if Krishna does ask for us to put even if it is an authentic request, if the dust of my feet were to find its way on the head of Krishna, I would surely go to hell. So no, I refuse. When Narada Muni came to the gopis headed by Radharani, and he said, Krishna has a headache, and it's only the dust from your feet on his head that will cure his headache. They immediately go. What are you waiting for? Go. And Narada said, well, every other devotee said they didn't want to do it because they would go to hell. The gopis said, willingly, will happily go to hell. You just go and cure Krishna's headache. Selfless love. Selfless love. When we say Hare Krishna, that Hara, that is Krishna. And Prabhupada said we should chant like the cry of a child for its mother. Heartfeltedly. We should cry especially for Radha. Imagine a child who wants something from the father. They don't go to the father directly. They go to their mother. Why do they go to the mother? in order to indirectly approach the Father. Stacy's got a big smile on her face. She knows all about this, right? She's got 2 little daughters. Because a mother's heart, tell me if I'm wrong, is most compassionate and most forgiving. And she will always recommend that the father conceive what the child's want. In the same way, Radharani is the divine mother. Radharani is compassion personified, and she is the most accessible path to Krishna. Even Krishna himself says, those who serve me directly, who claim to serve me directly, they are not actually my servants. I reject them. I only accept those who are the servants of the servants of the servants of the servants of the servant of Radharani. And not only does Radharani act as the gatekeeper for entering into the eternal divine pastimes of Krishna, not only are we praying to Radharani for access, but it is from Radharani that we get the talents, the abilities, and the capabilities to serve Krishna in an expert and pleasing way. Radharani is a repository of all abilities, whether it's singing or dancing, cooking. It is said of Radharani that every day, eternally, she has cooked a different preparation for Krishna. But not only is she the gatekeeper to give us access, but she's also the one who trains us up as the spiritual master, as the guru. She's the one who empowers us, transforms our hearts from self-centered to God-centered, so that we can then make that essential connection with the divine. She gives us strength to carry on devotional practices. She removes obstacles, and she fills us with spiritual boldness. Prabhupada says, to truly serve Krishna means to serve Krishna with love. What's the point otherwise? You serve with love. If you say you love somebody, what's the first thing you do? You do something for them. You serve them. You say you love them and you don't want to serve them, there's no meaning. That's not love. So when we say, or when we aspire for love of Krishna, Krishna Prema, then we have to ask Srimate Radharani to teach us how to love, or rather to relearn us. This is a core principle of the Bhakti tradition, that the way to approach Krishna is not directly, but through the mercy of Srimate Radharani. Any sincere devotee that wants to get to Krishna will follow Krishna's own prescription in the Bhagavad Gita. Tad vidi pranipatena priti. Just approach Radharani, who's seen the truth, who has access to the truth, who's been favorably serving the truth forever, since time immemorial. And Prabhupada confirms this by saying, if we approach Krishna through the mercy of Radharani, then what is impossible becomes, in fact, easy. If Radharani recommends to Krishna, Krishna, this devotee is very nice, Krishna doesn't question. He just takes what Radharani says. That's all he needs. The nod from Radharani, and Krishna immediately accepts that devotee. However foolish that devotee may be, Radharani recommends, Krishna accepts. That's why, if you go to Vrindavan, Vrindavan is famous for Krishna having appeared there, sported there, enacted his mischievous pastimes there. And yet, curiously enough, if you drive through the streets and you greet people, you won't say Hare Krishna. Everybody says Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe. Because although Krishna is the king of Vrindavan, Radharani is the queen of Krishna. And because of her love, she is more powerful than Krishna. For us, Radharani is more important than Krishna, because Radharani is our access to Krishna. You don't attain service of Krishna unless you get the nod from Radharani. And this service of Krishna, this love, which is non-different from the service of Krishna, it's not something we gain, it's not something we find, it's not something we earn, it's not something we qualify for, it's not something that we, at a certain point, drops down from heaven. Love for Krishna is who we are. We are essentially, eternally, and constitutionally lovers of Krishna. That is our true nature, but we've forgotten it. We've covered it over. We've distanced ourselves from Krishna by adopting self-interest. If we want to rehabilitate ourselves and get back to the shelter, to enjoy the love of Krishna, then we have to study very carefully how we can enter into the mood of Radharani. Krishna is engaged in his pastimes with his intimate surrendered devotees. It's Radharani's job to recruit more devotees to participate in the pastimes of Krishna. Krishna's loving affairs are immense. Krishna doesn't limit himself to one body. He can expand himself unlimited times, and he can be conducting his affairs in myriad ways, in myriad places in the spiritual world. So there's always an unlimited need, no matter how many devotees, liberated souls, are already engaged in the service of Krishna, there's always a need for more. And every one of us who's not in that eternal pastimes of Krishna, we do have something unique that only we can give to those eternal leelas, those eternal pastimes. Krishna longs for each and every one of us to come back. And it is Radharani who tries to satisfy the desire for Krishna. Krishna is saying, what about Bal Krishna? What about Jonathan? What about Ed? And Radharani says, don't worry, Lord, I'll go after him. I'll go after him. Ultimately, we have to make the decision. But Radharani will move heaven and earth, try to bring each and every one of us back to Krishna, because that will please Krishna. And that's what Radharani is all about. In that mood of recruiting, adding to the unlimited pastimes of Krishna, Radharani came, Krishna came, combined as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 500 years ago. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna, who is blackish, but in the mood of Radharani. Radharani is gold, Krishna is black. But when Krishna wanted to extend himself and come out in this material world and attract fallen conditioned souls to rejoin the pastimes, he did it in the mood of Radharani. And therefore, Krishna was blackish, appeared as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who's gold. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood was Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Premavadaya Krishnaya. Distribute love of God to everybody. Because it's not just some people who belong back in the spiritual world. Every one of us is created to be part of that eternal symphony of reciprocity and love between God and his devotees. I heard about a conductor from a big orchestra in Vienna, and they were right in the rehearsal. They were right in the heat of the rehearsal. The bassoons were coming in, the violins, 20 violins were coming in, the trumpets were going, the oboes and the cellos and all, and he said, stop! Everybody's like, of all times to stop? Why now? He said, the piccolo is missing. Nobody could understand how he missed the piccolo, but he did, because even the piccolo had an essential role to play. Stopped the whole rehearsal to get the piccolo with the program. So you may be a big bass drummer, you may be a piccolo, but Krishna wants you. He needs you. And so when he comes as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's indiscriminate. He doesn't consider whether you're qualified or whether you're not qualified, or whether you're a great devotee, whether you're not devotee. He'll take anybody. The example is given. If a merchant has a very valuable product, which is in scarcity in a distant land. This is what commerce is all about. If you have too much of something here and they have too little there, you take it there and you sell it for a good price. So there's no love of God, there's no Krishna consciousness in this material world to speak. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes this merchandise all the way from the spiritual world to the material world, and it should sell for a very high price. Like I said, pearls of great value. And yet the age is so degraded, so dark, so fallen, that nobody's interested in purchasing love of God, which Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was brought all the way from the spiritual world. So what do if you're a merchant? You've gone thousands of miles at your own expense to bring those products to the dock, to the pier, and you find that nobody is interested. What do? We were talking earlier, I sent 4,000 bags of color to New Vrindavan last week, and then they asked for another 6,000 bags of color. And I look at their market programming, and I said, I don't think they're even going to sell. I don't think they're even going to sell 2,000. So I said to them, I'm looking out for your own interests. I say, you don't want me to ship all those to you, and then after the event, ask me if I can take them back, because the shipping is going to cost you thousands of dollars. So it's better you order less in the beginning. So Lord Chaitanya's here. He's brought this valuable commodity. Nobody's interested. Nobody will pay $1,000 for it. So he gives it away free of charge. It's free for anybody to give it. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is handing out love of God, and the price is just chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just reawakening what's already there. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhu Kadanai. God created us to love Him. That's our reason for being created, to love Him. So we know how to do that, but we've just forgotten. We need to reawaken. Little child. It's had many births before. This little child. It's many births before. But when she comes into her present birth, she's temporarily forgotten how to walk. She's walked and run and flown and swim and who knows what. So it requires some retraining, reawakening. They're not really learning how to walk for the first time, but they're relearning because they already know how to walk. And it may take some ups and downs and some bumps and some falls and a little bit of crying, but they can do it. They can do it. They can be assured from the beginning that they will be successful. So similarly, Krishna consciousness, maintaining selfless, a goal, an aim of selfless devotional service under the mentorship of Srimate Radharani. It's a world which is dense and dark. There's not much that's conducive to God consciousness in the world. If you look around today, it's all about greed, it's all about power, it's all about viciousness. And so we don't get any reinforcement. We're going against the tide. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Just like for that child. It doesn't matter if the child falls down or gets a few knocks or bumps. It's worth it. Trust me, the child is going to want to walk and run. Not just give up because it's too troublesome. So similarly, we just have to be convinced of the innate love of God, which is within our hearts, and then practice. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That wasn't so hard, was it?
No.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. And in a minute or two, I'm going to finish up here, and we're going to chant and dance. Anybody got a serious problem with that?
No.
And after that, we're going to go downstairs for a feast. So, guys, just got to tough it out. Picture, and a last analogy here, picture a government warehouse. I remember they had these billboards all over Utah about a year ago. There's millions of dollars of property that the government has in your name. People are not aware. They've had inheritances, they've got backed up payments, SSI, whatever. It says go, and you just have to go log into the government warehouse and put in your ID, and then you'll see what's yours. So imagine it in a more primitive way. Imagine it in a more throwback before cyber. Here's a government warehouse, and you're presenting yourself at the window. There are literally tens of thousands of dollars worth of stocks and bonds and cash and gold in that warehouse with your name on it. And you don't have to earn it. You don't have to qualify for it. You don't have to do anything for it. All you have to do is show your ID, show your identity to the person, the caretaker, in the window there. And it just so happens, as far as Krishna Bhakti is concerned, Radharani, our best well-wisher, is in charge of the property department. Radharani, our mother, who loves us and who overlooks our faults and shortcomings, dispenses all of the devotional sentiments, all the flavors of love of God, all the motivation and strength that we need to get home back to God. All we need to do is put aside our false ego, where we aspire to be the master, to be the controller, to be the owner, to be the enjoyer. All we really have to do is none of that, just uncover our real identity, meaning it's already there. We just have to realize that we've misplaced it, we've lost it, and now we have to go back and get it. It's like losing your keys. Oh yeah, I left my keys somewhere. Keys are there, they're still yours. You just have to go back to where you left them. The Nectar of Devotion by Rupa Goswami emphasizes that approaching Krishna's mercy is best done through his devotees. And Radharani, of all the devotees, is the most compassionate and influential devotee. She has the ear of Krishna. And she is also unlimitedly merciful and compassionate. So she's the one for fallen souls to approach. And when she comes as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she doesn't wait for the souls to approach her. She realizes in short order, people are not going to come to purchase love of God. They're not interested. She's sitting in that window and nobody's coming, so she's going to go out after them and solicit them on behalf of Krishna's pastimes with the holy name, with festivals, and with prasad. That's because she is the ultimate embodiment of compassion. And today is a special day when we can pray for our mercy and be assured of receiving the favor of Krishna in the form of the loving grants of Radharani. This is the very essence of bhakti. This is the very source of the empowerment that we need in order to make our way to God's lotus feet. It's through the compassion and guidance of Radharani, who is the embodiment of devotion herself. She is humming with devotional energy, and you can't pray to her. You can't touch her lotus feet without being infected by that same vibrancy. She is, in fact, the original potency of the Lord. And when you have Radharani's favor in your life, you become fearless. You become uninhibited in your service to the Lord. Any anxieties or doubts or frustrations or fears that you have in connection with this material existence are replaced with a clear, bold purpose to serve the Lord no matter what and assist him in his pastime. This boldness and this confidence and devotion is a direct result of being empowered by the female energy. So this auspicious appearance day of Srimate Radharani is a very good time to pray for the awakening of our dormant God, our Krishna consciousness. But following the footsteps of Rupa Goswami and many other devotees, here are some nice prayerful thoughts that we'll end with. O Srimati Radharani, Queen of Vrindavan, my heart is shattered by the distance that lies between my soul and your service. I am lost in the desert of this material world, a barren landscape where every desire turns to dust and every aspiration withers into ash. I have chased fleeting images, believing them to be springs of happiness, only to find my thirst unquenched and my spirit weakened. O Radha, you have completely subdued Nanda Maharaj's son, Krishna, with your love. O merciful Radha, please melt the stone of my heart with the fire of your love. Let my tears become a river of devotion, and my every breath a prayer to you. My only hope, please engage me in the service of your Lord Sri Krishna, for without your mercy, Radharani, I can never attain him. Finally, O Radha, I'm rolling on the banks of the river Yamuna, my poor heart filled with anticipation, praying to you with all humility. I beg you to kindly engage me in even the smallest service to your lotus feet. O most merciful Queen of Krishna, it will not become you to ignore this most distressed soul, for your heart is always overflowing with compassion and love. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radhe. So the second part of our austere program tonight is singing and dancing. Are you up for it? Good.
Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Sri Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Krishna, Jaya Sri Krishna, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Hare Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitya-lila Pravishtam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Radha Kundi Govardhani ki Jai. Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki Jai. Ganga Devi Jamuna Mai ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulasi Maharani ki Jai. Naam Sankirtan ki Jai. Harinam Mahamantra ki Jai. Brihad Mridanga Seva ki Jai. Parama Karuna Sri Sri Govindananda ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Shama Sundar ki Jai. Sri Radhe ki Jai. Sri Radhastami Mahamahotsav ki Jai. Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki Jai. Samveda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Hare Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Radhe. This is a chant in the holiest place, Sri Vrindavan Dham. Everyone is chanting Jai Jai Shri Radhe, especially on this most auspicious occasion. So, we have a few announcements before we can our summer prayers. I guess we don't have slides today. So we want to thank you all, of course, for coming here. We just want to let you know for newcomers that actually our temple is open every day to the public from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Our buffet is open 11 to 6 p.m. every day. We have an incredible array of organic vegetables grown from our garden and dishes made from all the vegetables and fruits of our garden. So it's actually extremely special. We have the gift shop is open also, and then the animals. You can come spend time with them, and we have lots of new babies running around. So also it's kind of a sad day for us because one of our devotees is going back to his home country, Australia, and that is Param Purush Prabhu. So he has been here for about, I think, 6 months maybe, and he's leaving tomorrow. We're deeply grateful for all the service he's been doing. So let's he's been engaged literally 24/7. He hardly sleeps. All day long he's engaged in some kind of service. He was like spick and span cleaning the kitchen until he got injured, and then he had a little break, but still he was doing other things. So he's always finding services, and there are so many around here. So he's actually an emblem of devotional service, and we really appreciate all his time. And then we hope to see him back. He's going to come back next year, so we're really looking forward. Hare Krishna. Safe journey back and return back. So another thing is, we just really want to sincerely thank all the devotees who participated in making this festival day so beautiful. We have our flower team, where is she? It's Nadia over there, and we have Wendy. Thank you so much for effort. Nadia also baked some wonderful cakes for the pleasure of Srimate Radharani, and we can honor that really soon. Anything else? Let's see. We have so many vegetables from our garden that is in excess, and if you'd like, you can take some home. It's a very reasonable rate, all organic and fresh and absolutely delicious. So you can see what we have: some tomatoes, some pumpkins, zucchini, a bunch of stuff. We have the best harvest ever. I'm surprised that Shuli didn't show us the video. It was an incredible video that he posted with a new song about the harvest. So the radio station is here. That's another thing, and it's actually gaining a lot of support. People are loving it. It was just featured on ISKCON News, and so it's getting exposure. And so we'd like all of you also to get the word out that we have a radio station where you can tune into all your devotional songs and also hear the philosophy within the song, and also that there's some spiritual discourses interspersed in between. So without further ado, we will chant the prayer for protection. And if you guys just want to come up true, we'll give you a blessing, and you'll get some holy water. You just cup your right hand and sip that.
Radha